Hallowed be thy name.
Thy kingdom come.
Thy kingdom come. Thy will be done.
On
earth.
As in heaven.
As it is in heaven.
Give us this day.
Give us this day.
Our daily bread.
And forgive us our trespasses.
As we forgive those.
As we forgive those who trespass against us.
Deliver from evil.
Nope.
Lead not in temptation.
Lead us not in temptation.
Deliver from evil.
But deliver us from evil. For thine is the kingdom, the power, and the glory, forever and ever. So be it. Shalom, y'all.
Shalom.
Most High in Christ bless. My name is Yakanah Maccabeus.
My name is Shanika.
My name is Donnie.
My name is Isaiah.
First and foremost, we want to give all praise and glory and honor to the Most High, in the name of His Son Yahushua. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through and we're going to give you a brief history on the Feast of Dedication.
That's right.
And first, we're going to pull out a couple scriptures. Read 1 Corinthians 5:8.
Okay. 1 Corinthians chapter 5 verse 8. It says, "Therefore, let us keep the feast, not with old leaven, neither with the leaven of malice and wickedness, but with the unleavened bread of sincerity and truth."
So what we're going to do is we're going to keep the true feast of the Most High, and we're going to keep them with sincerity, and we're going to pass down the true traditions to our children. And from there, we're going to go to the book of Psalms, chapter 133.
Psalms chapter 133. "Behold, how good and how pleasant it is for brethren to dwell together in unity. It is like the precious ointment upon the head that ran down upon the beard, even Aaron's beard, that went down to the skirts of his garments, as the dew of Hermon, and as the dew that descended upon the mountains of Zion. For there the Lord commanded the blessing, even life forevermore."
So it's very, very important that we dwell together and we keep these feasts in unity. And we show our children and let them know exactly why we keep these feasts. And what we're going to do is we're going to go through the book of Maccabees, the first chapter, and we're going to read a couple segments of it. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to start in chapter 1. And we're going to start at verse 41. And we're going to show you what happened to us while we was under the Greek captivity, okay? And why this is so important that we keep the feast, and not only that, but that we give the restoration of us keeping these feasts. The book of Maccabees, chapter 1, verse 41. "Moreover, the king Antiochus wrote to his whole kingdom that all should be one people, and every one should leave his laws. So all the heathen agreed according to the commandment of the king. Ye many also of the Israelites consented to his religion, and sacrificed unto idols, and profaned the Sabbath. For the king had sent letters by messengers unto Jerusalem and the cities of Judea, that they should follow the strange laws of the land, and forbid burnt offerings, and sacrifice and drink offerings in the temple, and that they should profane the Sabbaths and festival days, and pollute the sanctuaries and holy people, set up altars and groves and chapels of idols, and sacrifice swine's flesh and unclean beasts, that they should also leave their children uncircumcised, and make their souls abominable with all manner of uncleanliness and profanation, to the end that they might forget the law and change all the ordinances. And whosoever would not do according to the commandment of the king, he said he should die. In the selfsame manner wrote he to his whole kingdom, and appointed overseers over all the people, commanding the cities of Judah to sacrifice city by city. Then many of the people were gathered unto them, to wit every one that forsook the law, and so they committed evils in the land, and drove the Israelites into secret places, even whosoever they could flee for succor. Now the 15th day of the month Caslu, in the 145th year, they set up the abomination of desolation upon the altar, and builded idol altars throughout the cities of Judah on every side, and burnt incense at the doors of their houses and in the streets. And when they had rent in pieces the book of the law which they found, they burnt them with fire. And whosoever was found with the book of the testament, or in any committed to the law, the king's commandment was that they should be put him to death. Thus did they by their authority unto the Israelites every month, to as many as were found in the cities. Now the 25th day of the month they did sacrifice upon the idol altar, which was upon the altar of God, at which time, according to the commandment, they put to death certain women that had caused their children to be circumcised. And they hanged the infants about their neck, and rifled their houses, and slew them that had circumcised them. Howbeit, many in Israel were fully resolved and confirmed into themselves not to eat any unclean thing. Wherefore, the rather to die, that they might not be defiled with meats, and that they might not profane the holy covenant. So then they died, and there was very great wrath upon Israel. So during the time of Antiochus, we was made to sacrifice pig's flesh, which is an unclean meat. Let alone that, we was made to partake of these unclean things. And not only that, but we was made to make our children do that. Now, today, we sit as a people, and we eat these things willingly. We following behind these heathen customs willingly. And it's time to come up out of this, because our ancestors, our forefathers, they fought for us so we wouldn't have to do these things, such as Judah Maccabees. But we're going to show you what happened when Judah Maccabees now took over, when they took back the altars. And we're going to go to the book of Maccabees chapter 4, and we're going to start at verse 36. Then said Judas and his brethren, Behold, our enemies are discomfited. Let us go up to cleanse and dedicate the sanctuary. Upon this, all the hosts assembled themselves together and went up into Mount Zion. And when they saw the sanctuary desolate, and the altar profaned, and the gates burned up, and shrubs growing in the courts, as in a forest or in one of the mountains, ye and the priest's chambers pulled down, they rent their clothes and made great lamentation, and cast ashes upon their heads, and fell down flat to the ground upon their faces, and blew an alarm with the trumpets, and cried toward heaven. Then Judas appointed certain men to fight against those that were in the fortress until he had cleansed the sanctuary. So he chose priests of blameless conversation, such as had pleasure in the law, who cleansed the sanctuary and bare out the defiled stones into an unclean place. And when as they consulted what to do with the altar of burnt offerings, which was profane, they thought it best to pull it down, lest it should be a reproach to them, because the heathen had defiled it, wherefore they pulled it down, and laid up the stones in the mountain of the temple in a convenient place, until there should come a prophet to show what should be done with them. Then they took whole stones according to the law, and built a new altar according to the former, and made up the sanctuary and the things that were within the temple, and hollowed the courts. They made also new holy vessels, and into the temple they brought the candlestick, and the altar of burnt offerings, and of incense, and the table. And upon the altar they burnt incense, and the lamps that were upon the candlestick they lighted, that they might give light in the temple. Furthermore, they set the loaves upon the table and spread out the veils and finished all the works which they had begun to make. Now on the 25th day of the 9th month, which is called the month of Caslu, in the 148th year, they rose up betimes in the morning and offered sacrifice according to the law upon the new altar of burnt offerings, which they had made. Look at what time and what day the heathen had profaned it. Even in that was it dedicated with songs and cisterns and harps and syllables. Then all the people fell upon their faces, worshiping and praising the God of heaven, who had given them good success. And so they kept the dedication of the altar 8 days and offered burnt offerings with gladness and sacrificed the sacrifice of deliverance and praise. They decked also the forefront of the temple with crowns of gold and with shields, and the gates and the chambers they renewed and hanged doors upon them. Thus was there great gladness among the people, for that the reproach of the heathen was put away. Moreover, Judas and his brethren with the whole congregation of Israel ordained that the days of the dedication of the altar should be kept in their season from year to year by the space of 8 days, from the 5th and 20th day of the month Caslu, with mirth and gladness. At that time also they builded up the Mount Zion with high walls and strong towers round about, lest the Gentiles should come and tread it down as they had done before. When they set there a garrison to keep it, and fortified Bethsura to preserve it, that the people might have a defense against Idumea. So what they did is they took back the altars and they rebuilt it. And they dedicated it back to the Most High. And they took away all the uncleanliness out of there, and they began to make sacrifices with gladness. And it's very, very important that we pass down this tradition to our children instead of false holidays like Christmas. Instead of false holidays like Easter. We are commanded to keep the feast days that the Most High commanded us to keep, so that it is a holy convocation, so that we can dwell together in unity and pass the traditions of our forefathers down to our children, so that they know the greatness that they are. For thou art holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
Above all the face of the earth.
For thou art a holy people unto the Lord thy God. The Lord thy God hath chosen thee to be a special people unto himself.
Above all the face of the earth.
That's right. That's right.
So there you have it. That's the reason why we keep the Feast of Dedication. And with that, we like to say, Shalom.
Shalom.
Kuya Shalom. Kuya Shalom. Kuya Shalom. Kuya Shalom. Kuya Shalom. Kuya Shalom. Kuya Shalom. Kuya Shalom. Press the button, son.